After 25 years in this industry, was it worth it?
When I was in college, I was a film and theater double major, and the thing that always appealed to me about the writing part of it is that I got to create the entire world. It gave me a chance to really work on the character development and the dialogue. I got to do more in plays, and in my film classes I worked more on the camera movement and composition and editing. So then the two of them kind of fused together afterwards. I always get asked by people if I think film school is important, and I think that it's a qualified yes. I learned more probably on my first day as an unpaid intern than I did in 4 years of film school about what it takes to make a movie, but what you learn in film school is you get an opportunity to make mistakes that no one is going to hold you accountable for. The most important thing is finding your voice, and it's really hard to find your voice just working on small projects yourself. You kind of need people to push back against you and say, why did you make that choice, and what is it that's what was this about, and what, who will take it to the next level, as opposed to your friends and family who they love you and they want to tell you that you're great. Film school is a great place to have people who all have the same, you're all heading in the same direction. You may have different genres that you love, but you're all doing that together. But that combined spirit can really propel you and push you to do your best work. My first job was this internship, and my second job was working at the script house. And then I went up to Alaska to be with the woman who I fell in love with. And I looked around for work, and what I could find is there was a Native American cable news network. One of the things that they really needed was they were going to have a green screen. They'd heard about green screen, and the gaffer needed to have experience with a green screen. Well, now, I had never myself lighted a green screen, but I'd been around it. So I said, yep, I know how to do that. And that's one of the things that I think really characterizes everyone that I know who's in the film industry is you go for the job that you know you can do even if you haven't done it before. So I went from being a PA or an unpaid PA to a stagehand to the gaffer. Like, that's a huge, like this to this. I was 27 years old and I had this huge reel as a cinematographer. For all this time I was moving up the below the line ladder. Then I started having kids and having kids was really, really hard to balance with being someone who had to be on call. One of the things that happened when I was living in Seattle is we had a pitch to the head of New Line Cinema. And I knew that it was a very important pitch for a new idea that we had. I couldn't hear anything except for his voice. I couldn't see his facial gestures. I couldn't read his body language. I couldn't guess what was working when we were pitching. So as a result, I just started flooding the phone with words and like just overloading it, and it was probably the worst pitch I've ever done in my life to probably the most important person I could have pitched to. And I hung up the phone and just cried for a half an hour. And when my wife came home, I said, we have to move to LA. If I'm getting the opportunity to have those types of meetings at that level, I can't blow it. So we came down to Los Angeles and did a bunch of meetings. It was very exciting to go on as someone from Seattle trying to break into the film industry and actually having meetings on the Sony lot, on the Paramount lot, on the Fox lot. Especially when you're starting your career, you really need to be in LA. So that was kind of the way that I went into the film industry. And at that point, I had the connections and it was a lot easier to move on. I mean, there were a lot of other things that happened between then and now, but it was definitely like that was the path from the first job, which was not at all related to screenwriting, to actually being someone who had had stuff optioned by a studio was this long, windy road. all got me back to where I am now. So I had a lot of really near misses. So I had one for this thing called Booty Camp, which was set up at National Lampoon, and then National Lampoon went under. I had one called Driver's Ed that was set up at Paramount, and then they had another movie that came out that was another teen comedy, and it crashed and burned, so they cut Driver's Ed. I had one called Drunk Dial set up at Sony, and then they got hacked by North Korea, and that one got canceled. So I've had a lot of really close misses. You can't work in the film industry if you can't handle rejection. I mean, I think that the people who get the most rejection are actors, hands down. They're going out for jobs all the time. They're going to get hundreds of rejections. When I write something and I send it out to my agent makes these calls, and I don't even know all the people who he's called. I find out the best case scenario usually is, okay, it's a pass on the material, but they want to meet you because they may want to have you write something for them. I've had lots of stuff get meetings, but it's very rare when something gets sold. The hardest thing to know about film is, are you crazy for wanting to do this, or are you smart for wanting to do this? And I think that there's a huge stigma to not giving up. I think that's bad. I would say that if there is something else that you love as much as or more than film, you should definitely do that other thing instead. Because film is really unforgiving, it's really hard. My writing partner, it was too much for him, so he quit. We're still really good friends, but he just couldn't take it, and it turned him off of writing at all. But you've got to have some way to make money. The first taste of success is so important. You need to know that somebody else thinks that you're doing a good job. That can be from like getting a critical mass of likes. If you put something out there and it suddenly goes viral, that's a very good indication that you have something that people like, and that can help feed your ability to make more. My biggest advice to any young filmmaker is, at whatever stage you're at, to get it in front of people so that you can get their feedback. If you've got a script, have a bunch of your friends get together, read the script out loud. You're going to hear where your dialogue sucks that way. Listen to them, get the feedback, make it better. When you are shooting something, do storyboards or do a shot list at the very least, and go over it with someone who's going to be your DP or someone who's going to be your editor. If you're not doing it all yourself, I think it's really good to get a second set of eyes in there. Someone to look at it and say, do you really need that? Is this what you want to spend your energy on? What's the point of this scene? I get into a lot of trouble on Twitter when I tell people that they should not make a feature until they've made a short and had it play successfully in festivals. To get your short out there and to have it accepted into festivals is a huge marker. The most important thing, if you're going to want to make a movie, is to put yourself in a position where you're going to get rejected. So make a short film, do the very, very, very best job that you can, and send it to a lot of festivals and see how they respond and find out, do you have what it takes? That humbling experience of realizing I had this idea and I thought it would be really cool and I blew it is really great. And it's okay to blow it on a short. It's less okay to blow it on a feature. And it's really bad to blow it on a feature when you are pulling in favors, because you're getting everyone's goodwill and you want to make sure that what you're putting out there is the best quality that you can do. Was it worth it? If you had told me when I was 30 that it would take 20 years before my first movie would get made, I think I would have gone nuts and I may have quit. But now that I have this movie that's about to happen, that Kevin Hart's company is involved with, and I've got another one that I'm, going to be directing myself. We just got an actress attached to, and another one that we're looking for financing for. It feels fantastic right now. So yes, right now I would say it's worth it, but My 30-year-old self would probably have a different answer. I'm Thom Harp, and welcome to my masterclass. And I'm a screenwriter, a comedy screenwriter.